or not. Okay, so we're on Daf Nun Gimel, that is, Nun Gimel. So the Gemara starts over here in the middle, but we're talking about Kesuvos ben Dichrin. That was the Mishnah, and Kesuvos ben Dichrin again means that even if the wife died before the husband, and there's no Kesuba in that case, but there's a stipulation in the Kesuba that, or if you write it, even if you didn't write it, that when the husband, there's no Kesuba, but eventually when the husband dies and his estate goes to his Yorshim, so each of his wives is eligible, the wives that died already, they're eligible that they're what they should have gotten for Kesuba, both the Mana Masayim plus the Tosefes plus the Nadunya, that goes to their children. And that makes a difference because if they're different wives, then they have a different amount of children, or in other cases, they brought in a bigger Nadunya. As the Gemara said, that's the reason why they made it, in order that people should give dowry to their daughters, and they shouldn't be scared that eventually in the next generation it's going to be lost to the husband's family. This way he stays in the family. So the question was over here, there is such a thing, a person can sell a Kesuba. The Kesuba, the wife has the rights to Kesuba, which means that she has the right that if she's going to die, if husband will die in her lifetime or divorce her, she gets Kesuba, she has the right to sell it. I don't know what this is called in English, but it's like a commodity. I'm not sure what the word would be. That she has rights. She has a right that if a certain situation happens, she'll get money, so she could sell it. She could sell it before it happens. On the tzad that my husband will divorce me or die in my lifetime, so I'm giving you the right to the Kesuba. She could even sell it to her husband himself. She could sell that right to the husband. That means that even on the tzad that he's going to divorce her or die, or the Kesuba will go to the husband. So the question is, the Kesuvos ben Dichrin, is that also sold? Does that still remain? The schus of Kesuvos ben Dichrin means that whatever's coming to her for the Kesuba is supposed to go to her Yorshim. Right. Eventually, when the husband dies, does that still stay? Or since she sold this, that she forfeited that right, and so now it's all.
Isn't that what she's selling?
So maybe they shouldn't sell that part. Maybe that part was not included in the sale. Oh. She sold everything, the Mana Masayim and the Tosefes. And didn't do everything, but the fact that I'm sorry, what am I saying? Am I saying on the tzad? I'm not really clear. So, and ask any questions. What does it mean? There's like Kesuvos ben Dichrin on the tzad that I got it. That what did she sell on the tzad? I didn't say what I just answered you wasn't a good answer. On the tzad that what did she sell Kesuba? On the tzad that he divorces her or he dies in her lifetime. So she sold that. She sold that Kesuba. But how about on the tzad that she is going to die first? So there's a special benediction that even if she dies first, eventually that's part of the deal that it goes. So maybe that part was not included in this sale. But that's still,
excuse me, the camera is off.
Oh, thank you. Maybe that still remains. Maybe that point on the tzad.
What daf is this?
We're on Daf Nun Gimel.
Nun Gimel.
For all those who came on a minute later, I just introduced that I don't know this daf. I didn't have time to prepare, so we're working it out together. Whatever happens, we'll see. Maybe I'll do it again tomorrow. It's one of those days. So we'll see. So here, what is the question going to be on the side that she's going to, in the case she's going to die first, and the Kesuvos ben Dichrin says that it goes to her, stays in her Yorshim when eventually he dies. Is that also included in the sale when she sold this Kesuba to her husband? That was Rav Yemar Basava's question to Rav Nachman. Amalei Rava. Rava said to Rav Yemar Basava, "V'tibay loch mochelas." He's talking about a strange case. She sold the Kesuba to her husband. How about a simple case? Not to sell it to her husband. She just was mochelas. She told her husband, "I'm mochel the Kesuba." Does that include that she's mochel also the ben Dichrin, or that's right? She didn't mean to forfeit. Amalei hashta mochelas kamibayli dafagav dikla meima zuzi ansuha tamlena kamandika mochula mea uchli b'uchla mochelas mibaya. He then, Rava might have thought that the fact that he didn't ask about Mochelas is that Mochelas, if she was Mochelet, then surely there's no Kesuvos ben Dichrin, I think. But the Gemara is saying, no, I didn't mean to say that. I had a tzad to think that Mochelas is more reason that it should not be sold, but Mochelas might be more reason to be that it is sold. Because Mocheres, when a person sells something, is because they needed the money. Right. That's a little bit of an onus. They didn't really want to sell it. Mocheles, she had nothing forcing her. She did it out of whatever reason she had, just the goodness of her heart, whatever it might have been. But by when it's someone in sale, when she sells it, because she needed the money, whatever reason she needed the money for, she needed some personal money, so she sold the Kesuba even to her husband. She got money from it. So that might be a tzad that she was forced into it. and forcing into it is more reason why she should only give the minimum. She doesn't want to give away. She's not doing it with a big heart. She's doing it, she has to sell. So that would be a reason to say that she was not mevater on the Kesuvos ben Dichrin. But by Mechila, it's not to say more reason that she might have meant it. But even by the case where she sold it, I also have a tzad that it was so. It was sold. And Kal V'chomer have a tzad that it was sold by Mochelis. Not that Karava took it, the fact that he didn't ask for Mochelis, for sure she didn't sell it. Maybe she did sell it, and maybe she did sell it even via Mechila. So in other words, if Yom Esava said I have both questions, not that I asked only one question, don't have the other question. I have both questions. When she sells the ksuba or when she's mochel the ksuba, did she forfeit the right of Kesuvos ben Dichrin or not? That was Rav Yom Esava. He had a question. If he didn't see an answer, that was Rav Yom Esava's take on it. Amar Rav himself says his own opinion. Shitali moches ksuvos alachem yesh lo Kesuvos ben Dichrin. My time was Uzi Ansur, like we just said, that this is far to say that the money forced her and she didn't really want to. So she didn't forfeit the Kesuvos ben Dichrin, even though she sold the ksuba to the husband. No, I'm sorry. Here it says lachevim. Before we spoke about Macheres Suba Labala, here it says she sold it to somebody else. So on that she says, I have no question. Shitoli, in this case where she sold it to somebody else, she surely did not mean to forfeit the Kesuvos ben Dichrin. And even though the Acherim and the Tzad, when is Acherim going to cash in on it? If the husband divorces or dies, so then the Ksuba that should have gone to the wife is now sold and it goes to somebody else. But Kesuvos ben Dichrin was not forfeited, and even if on the tzad, I'm not even on the tzad that she's gonna if she dies, and then the question of Kesuvos ben Dichrin is activated, so it's still activated and it goes to her Yoshim. It doesn't go, then it's going to go to this buyer. But Mechelas Ksuba on the Labala, and Kesuvos ben Dichrin. On the other side, he also had no question that if she was mochel, since she did it without anybody forcing her, so then she meant to forfeit the Kesuvos ben Dichrin also. The whole thing is forfeited. She tells the husband, forget about the ksuba, not the mana masayim, not the tosefes, not the nedunya, and even ben Dichrin also, that if I'm gonna die first, then you don't have to give my chelik to my yorshim. My time that she did it with her heart and nobody was forcing her. So I think Rashi puts something about a knas that since she was mezazal on the ksuba, so then they even took away the Kesuvos ben Dichrin. I would think maybe that's what she just meant it. That she just forfeited because no one's forcing her. So if she's mochel that also. So Rabbi said that these two things I have no question. But boy Rabbi, mocheres ksubasa labala, what is that? We have the case of mocheres ksubasa lachem, and you have mocheres ksubasa. How about mocheres ksubasa labala? Which really that was the question that Rav Yom Esava started off mocheres ksubasa labala. So we didn't have an answer for that yet. And Rabbi says they also have that question. Mocheres ksubasa labala mocheres lachem dami or mocheres labala dami. How do we look at it? Do we look at it like the Zuzi and Sua? Or do you look at it that she's just coming towards the husband, and maybe there is a machil over there also? So Rabbi says that this one I don't know, but Basa the Bay, other Pashta, after he had the question, then he himself didn't answer. He did have an opinion. He doesn't prove it, he just has an opinion. There's no difference between selling it to the other people or selling it to the husband. By all cases, over there, she did not forfeit it. By selling is considered an onus. Doesn't make a difference if she sold it to others or she sold it to the husband. She didn't forfeit the Kesuvos ben Dichrin. But by Mechila, if she was mochel, then she forfeited everything.
If she's mochel the Kesuba, then how is
that?
she able to live with him? If she's mochel the Kesuba, how do they live together?
He's asking that the whole ksuba is in order that it should be easy. It should be hard for the husband to divorce her. And Rameir has at the front. We saw that we saw yesterday was that if Rameir says if someone's mochel the ksuba, so then it is like living like znus. What does it say over there? The Rameir said if he says.
Yeah, I remember the words znus. Yeah.
There was Nafnunalos maybe. Let's just look back a second. Kol apochis nepsulam imasayim almana mana reizu vilas nos. And Abuda said that it is possible to be mochel the ksuba. Kilu is kabalti. So does this have to do with that? Here it says that such thing as being mochel the ksuba. Rameir says that you can't, that she can't be mochel the ksuba. I don't know. I'm very, very superficial today, trying to get back to this question tomorrow. But Dr. Fein's asking, how is it possible to mochel the ksuba at all? Okay, the Gemara
right before.
over there it's talking about getting married, and she's mochel before she starts. But is there any difference if she's mochel later? He was chayv the ksuba, and now she says I'm mochel, so there's no ksuba now. But
it doesn't go into effect until right before somebody dies over there.
No, but then if it was mochel, you're mochel. No, if you mochel, what's the difference? What's the difference when the mechila happens? If it happens, so then he knows that there's not going to be any ksuba obligation. But Meir wants to have that there should be a ksuba obligation. I don't know. I'm very superficial over here. Most of Avida Barovin, Akasha on what we just finished saying, I think. Mesa and Yoshin Shalzeb and Yoshin Shalzeb, Yoshin Subas. This goes back to Yavamas. We have the study over there where a woman remarried and then it came out that her husband was still alive and we throw a book at her and we have all kinds of things that she loses ksuba. And one of the things it says over there is if she died, so neither Yorshim, neither of the husbands of the first husband or the second husband, Rashi says over there, let's see, Mishni B'Yavamas, Isha Shalom Ba'alam Dina Sayam, that the husband went overseas, and then the question was if he died, and they want her to marry based on her investigation. She'll make sure. And at the end, husband came back, so it says Teitza Mizeh Mizeh in Laksuba, and a whole list of 25 things over there that she gets the consequences. So over there it says that besides all the other things, it says that if she dies, so neither Yarshin of either husband get her ksuba, and it didn't make the words don't make sense because she doesn't get ksuba. As Moskasha, Avina Bak, so what's my bit of what kind of ksuba is there? There is no ksuba. So what I talk about the Yorshim, Yashin, and the ksuba. Bamra Papa, ksuba's been different. That the case is the ksuba's been different. That neither of the husband's children, of the children she had from either husband are going to inherit the ksuba's been different from either ones of the husband. Va'amai, Hachanami Lema Yetzer Amsa, a new svara. Before we said Zuzi Amsa, she had no money, and that forced her. So she didn't mean to. She didn't mean to sell everything. She sold whatever she had to sell in order to get money because the money was forcing her. And we said, therefore, yesh l'ksubas min different. She didn't mean to forfeit the ksubas min different. She only sold with the minimum that she had to. So here also there was a news for Yetzer Ansa. This woman, her husband went overseas and didn't come back, and the shmua is that he died. She doesn't know. So there's a big interest that she wants to get married. She wants to be married. So maybe that's called an onus also. The fact that she was forced, not forced. The Yetzer Hara means that she shouldn't have gotten married unless she was sure that the husband died. Right. But there is an aspect of Yetzer Hara with it that she wants to get married. It's not the same Yetzer as it's not talking about Yetzer Hara of doing an Avera, but here the case is she doesn't know for sure that her husband died, and she has an inclination to want to say that he died in order to be able to be married. Right. So isn't that considered enough of an onus that he shouldn't take away the ksubas min different? If you say that onus is a reason not to take away a difference, so too the Yetzer Hara is also forcing her a little bit. The same way money forces, also the Yetzer Hara forces. But I don't understand the question so well because it's a knas. The Gemara's answer. It's nothing to do with her das. Over there, the first case was what her das was. So if you talk about her das, if she's stuck for money, so she'll sell the minimum in order to get money. But now she's not doing it out of the goodness of her heart. Here, that's a whole different subject altogether. That's what the Gemara seems to answer. Her some knas with the konsura. One over there, it's a knas that Rabbanan penalized. It has nothing to do with the onus. It seems even if it is an onus, but that's not the point. Rashi says something, but I think a little bit simpler might be that over there, as we remember in Yavamas, we made the situation that it should be so difficult at the end in order to be able to remember her the Taiko Mitzvah, that the fact that we make it so difficult, if the husband's going to come back, she's going to have all of these consequences. That makes that she's going to be very careful before she makes the move. And that's why we trust her. We only trust her because there's such consequences. So we are willing to make such consequences, even if it's like extreme consequences, in order to permit her to be able to get married based on that investigation. So the Gemara seems to accept it. So and maybe the sugya is over at this point. We had the sugya about selling the ksuba, mochel the ksuba, selling the ksuba to her husband, selling the ksuba to others. Mochel, the Gemara seems to come out like Rava says that if she's mochel the ksuba, she's mochel everything, even the ksuba's been indifferent. But selling it, no difference if she sold it to somebody else or she sold it to her husband. That's only an onus, and therefore she didn't sell the schos of ksuba's been indifferent. And we just came across the Mishnah Yavamas again that if she remarried and it comes back that the husband is back again and she's also to both husbands, she loses subas from different from both husbands. Anu Gemara, Yosef, Ravin Bachanina, Kamed Rav Chisda, Yosef Akam Amishmed Rav Elazar. The following statement: Mochelas ksuba lebala ela mazonos. Part of the ksuba is also the Tanai ksuba. It means we learned before about a few halachas called Tanai ksuba. The fact that husband has to support his wife, the fact he has to bury her, the fact he has to redeem her. That's all called Tanai ksuba. Also, if he dies, so then the widow stays in his house and be able to be supported after death, and the daughters that get supported. All these things. So that's called Tanai ksuba. So here it says when she's mochel the ksuba, not only is she mochel the ksuba, the mana masayim tosefes, she's also mochel Tanai ksuba. All of those are other conditions also. So it's included in that, she's saying support me either. When she says I'm mochel ksuba, she's mochel support. Hey, who said this? They said it to Rav Chisda. I think Ravin Bar Chanina said to Rav Chisda in the name of Rav Elazar. So Rav Chisda heard that, he said, Amalei, if he wouldn't have said it from Zar, I would have said this pasuk. The pasuk says if somebody returns evil for good, someone did the favor and he returned bad, you don't do a favor back. So like a clause on him that the should never move from his house. That is a terrible thing. Somebody does you a favor, you do back to him bad. So here, that also seems to be that she's doing a favor. She's mochel ksuba because that's going to take away her mazonos also. That's like and she should get the mazonos. But it doesn't say that he argued. It just says if not that he said it. If he wouldn't have said it in the name, I would have argued. But it seems he doesn't argue now. I didn't look into this, but it seems to be that the number is from the Rambam Chesed seems to be a person like that. And that's what she meant to do. She meant to be mochel the mazonos also. Of course, don't take anything I'm saying. You have to look into it. But according to this, the plain statement, that's what it says. And the Gemara said I would have argued, but I'm not going to argue because Rabbi Elazar said so.
And if we don't have to give them
Right, she meant to include it in the mechilas. Also, he doesn't have to give her mazonos either. That's included in her mechila. Any Rashi on that? Almanusa, the mazonos almanusa. I take back what I said. I was talking about mazonos even in the lifetime. Here Rashi says that the mazonos that's only when she's an almana. After he dies, that was included. And Rashi doesn't seem he doesn't want us to talk about in her lifetime.
And therefore
that the Gemara is not talking about getting the mazonos in the lifetime, just after death, and then she's not supported from the state. But the fact that he has to give her mazonos in the lifetime, that the Gemara is not talking about. Okay, so Rashi says different. Rashi took it differently than I said. Okay.
So you assume that she would be kept in a lifetime?
Yeah, so if Rashi goes out of his way to say in after death, that means in the lifetime she does get mazonos. It's just talking about after death, which is interesting to me.
After death for the husband?
Yeah. A woman is mochel ksuba. That means that if he dies or he divorces her, so she gets ksuba. And if he dies, she also has a right to be in the house as long as she's a widow and she doesn't remarry, so she's allowed to get mazonos and stay in the house. But she's mochel that. When she's mochel ksuba, she's also mochel the right to be continuing in his house and to get mazonos. But Rashi doesn't say that it means she loses the right to be supported as long as he's alive. Okay, take it back. The Gemara continues. Yosef Rav Nachman ve'Ula Avimi bar Papa. There were three people sitting together: Rav Nachman, Ula, and Avimi bar Papa. Yosef Rav Chia bar Ami Gavayu, and Rav Chia bar Ami was with them. So four Amoram all together. Asa Ugava the Shchiva Rusasa. A man came whose Arusa died. He had married, but only the first stage of marriage, only the Kedushin, not the Nesuin, and she died. Ambilay, so they told him, Zil Kvar or Havlok Subasa, either bury her. It means you're to bury her already. Even though she only was an Arusa, she wasn't in the Nesua. So you have a chiv to bury her or give her Ksuba. I'm just reading. Amalahu Rav Chan Chia. What?
Give her a ksuba to who Yerushin.
So it means that the ksuba money will be the ksuba money will be enough to bury her from. Rashi says, "Ohav ksuba the tiknu kfuvasa tachas ksubasa the savalamem tachas manam masai the tiknu lachachamim." That there's a takana to bury.
Or have like tufta.
She's died, but it means so give the money that they should be able to bury her from the ksuba money.
Oh, so usually that's what you use the ketuvah money for?
No, usually there's no ksuba if she dies.
She has no Yerushin. Maybe
if she dies, there's no ksuba. The ksuba is if he dies.
Oh.
So, but here it said that either bury her. They wanted him to bury her, even though Arusa is not so simple. He has to bury her. Avla ksuba the tiknu kurasa tachas ksubasa. We said that ksuba over there means for the nadunya, the nadunya that comes in, or maybe it means give back the nadunya that you got. I'm lost over here. I'm just talking. I'm not trying to figure it out. We had the Mishnah before. I think the Gemara said take the kurasa tachas ksuba. So we said that it means the nadunya that she brings in, and the husband's machayiv himself, and he gets the benefits of that dowry. So that's why they said that he has to bury her. So now I guess they mean to say give back the dowry. The dowry and the kfur go together. If you're going to say that you're not mechayiv to bury her, so then you don't get the ksubi, you don't get the dowry. Give back the dowry. Let's say that's what I mean. I guess so. Here Rashi says that it means the sabalamema tachas manam basayim shetiknu lachachamim. Rashi doesn't say the dowry over here. Rashi says it means for the Mana Masayim. So I'm just working it out together with you. I don't know what it says yet. So they told him, bury her or give her ksuba. Amalahu Rav Chia. That was what they said. These three people, Rav Nachman, Ula, Avimi, Bar Papa. So they said this to the man that you have to bury her or give her ksuba. I guess Mana Masayim, at least that money. And Rav Chia Bar Ami was there and he said the following question. Amalu Rav Chia Tanina. Tanina what? Rashi says, "Ani shona she'en la rusasha mesa mishpat ksuba the hainu kura." So he's going to bring a proof to show that he doesn't have to bury. He's on the other side. He's saying that it's not true. An orus doesn't have to bury his arusa. It says ishtar rusa lo one lo mitami lo v'chein he lo onenes lo mitami lo. A woman who's only an arusa, she wasn't in the suya yet. So if she dies, he's not an one. He doesn't have hilchos avelos. About eating kachim and stuff, he doesn't have a din of a novel, and if he's a Kohen, he's not allowed to be matami to her because they're not married in the soon yet. And also, if he died, lo anenes lo mitamala, she is not an ovel on him, and also lo mitamala. This has nothing to do with kahuna because there's no one.
Never heard of a woman not being into
Right, there's no din of a Kohen. It's not, but it means that she doesn't have to. She's not obligated. It's not considered part of her responsibility as a relative to take care of the kura and to become tamei that she doesn't have to. She's not considered relative related enough to as far as these halachas about aninos and kura and what antuma. Mesa eno yorsha. If she dies, he doesn't yashna yet. It's before the nisuin. So the husband doesn't yashna his wife who's only in arusa and not in the nisuin.
Back to the.
We're still talking about kura. Let's say mace who. Mace, who, if he died, go ksubasa. She does get here. It says she gets ksuba even if he died as before the nisuin. Mace, who go ksubasa.
She's alive.
She's alive. Mace, who b'chaya go ksubasa. One of a sign in kasavala. What does the Gemara want? That's the end of what he's quoting. Time of the mace, who a mace he ain't la ksuba. He wants to be medayik that it only says that if he died. Doesn't continue and say, what about if she died? And he wants to be medayik that if she would have died, ein la ksuba. Rashi says, I think, let's see Rashi, meisu b'chaya gavu ksubasa, manu masayim, v'tosef kasabla. But mashma that if she would have died, ein la ksuba, din ksuba. Ukfurasa tachas ksubasa. The Tanya le'el b'nesua. The umeis ukurasa tachas ksubasa b'tanya la'el b'nesua tanya. Avalacha chibin dechimesa eino yorsha avu lo neschayv l'kovra. He's saying that he's not buried. That what it says here, she doesn't get ksuba. That means that she doesn't get buried.
Buried only if it's nesua.
That's what he wants to say. He wants to prove from this mishnah that it's meduik that ein la ksuba.
We said
Ein la ksuba means ein la din ksuba.
Husband has to for three things.
But I was saying only if it's in a suit.
Only if it's in a
But if it'll be in a rus, he doesn't have to bury him. My timer. Rashi says, my timer, the Mira Kimesa B'chaya Bein Tvias Ksuba. Why does she not get buried if she died?
As a rusa.
B'shmil Mono Masayim Shehu Yoresh. For the Mono Masayim that he didn't get. She didn't get the Mono Masayim. So why don't we say that he should have to bury her for that money? My timer, Amar Avashaya, Shenani Koreba, the Keshitinasi La'acha, Tifli Masha Kasav Lechi. In the ksuba, the lashon that it says in the ksuba that he should that when did she get the ksuba? If when she marries somebody else. Rashi says in the bottom that they used to write this lashon in the ksuba that you have the right to get the ksuba means you can stay in my house after I die. And be supported and live in my house as long as you're a widow. And when you marry somebody, so then it stops, and then you get the ksuba. Tilka kolzman shalom meis v'lo nisgar shalom nishtavid lo v'lo yoresh mimena klum. From this lesson, you see that as long as he didn't die or he didn't divorce her, he doesn't have to give her. Since the lesson of the ksuba is, and here she died, so the ksuba is not activated. The ksuba is only activated if he divorces her or dies and she's going to marry somebody else. But here that she died, so then that's not activated at all. He doesn't have to give the ksuba, not the one of Masayim, he doesn't have to bury her. I'm just doing it very superficially. I hope to come back together tomorrow, more sure of what I'm saying. But that sugya was about burying, and it says that Oros doesn't have to bury his Arusa. Kiyasa Rabin, Amar Rish Lakish, Arusa Shemesa, Ein La Ksuba. That seems to be what we spoke about
Right,
till now.
that's
That
what
Arusa Shemesh, she doesn't get ksuba, which would mean that she's not going to get buried.
Right.
Amaluhu Abaye, Zilu Imule, Shkila, Tivusach, Shadia Chizri, Fatigma, Ravoshaya, Lishmaite, Bebaba. I don't know what I mean. I know the translation. I don't know what it means. That take your favor and throw it on the thorns. That means your favor is not worth anything. I don't know what it means to say. What is the favor? What did he say? That Arusa doesn't get ksuba. Whose favor is that? A favor to the husband? So Rabbi Shai already explained it in Babel that what? I'm not following what it says over here. Anything? What do we have? There's Rabbi Shai. In Anikore means that we don't have to have your new news because we know it already.
Right.
That before we said already, Abu Shmei saying look, Rabbi Shai explained it already because in Anikore bus, even though they're coming with a chiddush, I guess that Robin thought that he's saying a chiddush over here. That Abu saying let's get married. So he said you're not telling us a new chiddush anymore because we know it already. We heard this already. Means that Robin was the one who would bring the news from Yisrael to Babel. So he says, we heard about it already. So you're not telling us the news. I'm not sure. I think that the Gemara is saying that a rooster doesn't have supposed to get buried from the Oros.
Right.
The Mishnah- yes,
Not the ketuva and not
not burial.
not the burial. Well, it sounds
right.
that that's what we learned. We learned there's only been a sin. Those
That-
three,
yeah,
those
yeah.
two obligations of a husband is when she's in a sin.
Mhm.
Okay.
Benanuk from the Tavim Lachim Minoi. So here it talks about the other takana called Benanuk, which means that when a man marries, part of the Tanai Ksub is that he should support the daughters, and this is what we start learning means after he dies. In his lifetime, we say a person doesn't have to support his children, but there's a Tanai Ksub that the daughters, even though they don't Yarsha, they don't get a Yerusha, but they do get supported from the state. And we saw a lot of halachas about that, that if there's not enough, then there's all the daughters get supported even before the sons. That's the kind of the ksuba that the man accepts for himself to support the daughters after he dies. But Rav Tani ad titilachal leguvin, v'levi Tani ad tibagvan. So we had this in Rashi before. We noticed this in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, it does says until they get married. That's Lashon we had in our Mishnah, that they're going to be supported from my estate after I die until they get married. Rashi, when he quoted it, he said also ad tibagvan, until they become adults, until they become mature, 12 and a half. So here the question is what the gear says exactly. So Rav had in the Mishnah one, he had the gear until they get married. And Levi said until they become 12 and a half. So the question is, does each one only say what he says and argues on the other one? The Rav Afagav the Baga, according to Rav, the Rav say that they get Mazonas even after they're Bulgaris, because he says until they're married. So until they get married, even if they're Bulgaris 12, 13, 14, 15, he's still going to say they get a big girl already, she's still going to get Mazonas until she gets married. And Levi Afagav the Insid is Levi going to hold that even if she got married and she's not a Bulgaris, that everything just depends if she's a Bulgaris. So should we get it? If it means each one doesn't hold with the other one? No, surely everyone holds that these two conditions, these two terminate the Mazonas. If she becomes a Bulgaris, everybody else she stops getting Mazonas from the state. Everybody else, if she gets married before that it gets terminated also. So what are they arguing about? Elo Beger velo Insiv velo Beger the Kuli Amulo Pligi. Nobody argues on these two things, that if she became a Bulgaris, even though she didn't get married, if she got married here, the word Insiv means married. In the Sunnah. He agrees that also below Bog. How about a Levusa? If she became a Levusa, does she stop getting Mazonos when she becomes an Arusa? A girl that her father died, that she's getting Mazonos, and she's not yet 12 and a half, but she got Arusa, not engaged, but she got the betrothed. Is that enough to say that she should stop getting Mazonos from her father's estate? That what were the two girsos over here? That Rav said out to Lacham Leguvin, Levi said out to Tibag, let's see how the Gemara explains it. That according to Levi, I guess what is Tilakhan Leguvran? I'm not sure who holds what. Let's see what Rashi says.
She's not getting anything from her husband.
Oh, that's what you're saying, that the Oros doesn't have to support her either.
Right, and she's
So
she's
Zonos.
stuck,
He was going to talk about it. Here it says, okay, I didn't know that. Rashi says that when it says taken by men, means even Erison also, so according to Rav, that she stops getting Mazonos when she becomes an Arusa. Well, the Levi, the Tevagwan, Yunasu. Only one of the two, but Bagaris, of course, everybody holds, but only Yunasu. Yes, we should have Bagami Kibagwas because it goes together. The Suan is the same status of a Bulgaris. So it comes out that Rav is Machmir, so to speak, on the girl that she stops getting Mazonos as soon as she becomes an Arusa. V'chein Tani Levi V'masnise, Aditi Bagran, V'yimtes Imnerim de Insaban. Levi is the author of a brisa. The same way we have the regular brisa, Tosefta, Rav Oshia. So Levi also wrote a brisa. He wrote brises, and that's what Levi put into his brisa. He said that the girls get mazonos from their father's estate, Aditi Bagran. And I'm going to say it can't mean that. And it came their time to get married. Insaban again means Nisuin. So first of all, it doesn't make sense. Tardi, you have to have two things. Of course, Bulgaris alone is enough to terminate the mazonos. Ella oditi bagran oyim dezim le'isna sava. Until they become a Bulgaris, or until the come time to be married. Coming the time to be married means that the Erison of the own is not a reason to stop it. The point of Rabbi will be terminated by Erison alone. According to Levi, only if it comes time to Nisuin, which means not after the Nisuin, if it comes to time. We had the Mishnah, we quoted this halacha, that if it's 12 months, so then the husband has to give his own, to give her in, even if he didn't take her in. Rashi says about this. Then she gets mazonos from her husband. So according to Levi, when Moshe understands it, that according to Levi, that she gets mazonos from her father until she gets mazonos from her husband. But according to Rab, even though she's not yet getting mazonos from her new husband, she stops getting mazonos when she becomes an avu. Kitanoi. The Gemara thinks that this machlokus will be machlokus tanon. It says ad mosai abbas lizonis ad sheteyoris. Till when does the daughter get supported from her husband, father's late father's estate until Erizin? That sounds like Rab. Which means what? Everybody holds Asheti Boge. So what do you see in machlokus? You see somebody holds up Asheti Yoris, which would mean that Erizin is enough to stop it. The Gemara continues. Until they become to husbands. What does the coming to a husband come? What if Yosef is saying this brisa until they become to men? Does it mean Erizin, which might be this one before of Rav and of Yosef?
So we say Teiko?
The take on that question might have Yosef's brisa now, but we do seem to have machlokas between Rav and Levi if they stop getting those owners by Erizin. Tani, what do we have over here? Amalei of Chisda Rav Yosef. Mishmi Elacha Mined Rav Yehuda. Abusi Yesh Lamazonos Ein Lamazonos. Did you hear from Rav Yehuda? Rav Yosef was a Talmud of Rav Yehuda. You have a lot of times. Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda, Mashmuel. You have a lot. So Rav Yosef was Talmud of Rav Yehuda. So Rav Chisda asked him, "Did you ever hear from Rav Yehuda what the dinners of an arusa that she get mazonos?" Because this machlokas that according to Rav she does not get mazonos. According to Levi she does. Did you hear from Rav Yehuda anything about it? Amalei Mishmalo Shmieli. I didn't hear. I didn't hear Masa. I don't know. Misfara Lesla, but I could say at Misfara, I would think that she doesn't get mazonos. Why? Given the is means that was Moshe's question. Who's going to support her?
Yeah.
So the question that Moshe going to talk about now, if the Orus, how would we call him when they're not engaged? What do we call engaged? The chassan. What do we call him in English? What's a fiance? With the groom. What is a fiance?
Oh, the fiance.
Call it?
Yeah, but that's usually I think they get married.
After they're married.
I
After they're
don't know
married.
if fiance is.
It's before.
Is before.
When
So
they're engaged, she's the fiance, right?
okay. So the question is,
And was
whatever.
she cool?
They're both fiancés.
Both of them.
Generic.
Okay,
Sure.
so here the question is the Orus. The Orus going to support his arusa, even though he's not mechuyev. The question is not mechuyev. The Moshe pointed out that Moshe pointed out he's not mechuyev. He's not mechuyev to give his onus when he's only Orus until the soon. But the question is he going to do it out of his good heart because his poor arusa doesn't the support. So that's what. So if you tell Misfar he's going to support her. So there's no reason to take from the father's estate if the Orus is going to give it. Misfar Lesla, why? Because since it's his arusa, he's not going to be happy that she's going to be degraded. She's going to have to beg by the doors that she doesn't have who to support her. So by the way, this girl is watching, not a Bulgarian yet. She's less than 12. She's less than 12 and a half.
Right.
So she's going to go begging on the door. So the Orus is probably going to give her. So therefore, we could safely stop supporting her from the father's estate because the Orus is going to take care of it. Amalei, so Chisda told to Rav Yosef, in Mishmalosh Mielach, if you didn't hear Beferish, so opposite, Misfara Isla, I would say Misfara that she does get mazonos from the father.
Yeah.
He's not sure it's going to go through. Rashi explains that when only Erison, they didn't really live together yet. So we had it a few times, the simpon, that it could be when he's actually going to live with her, he's going to see that she's a Balas Moon, and the whole thing's going to be called off. It's not for sure. This marriage is not bonded until they kind of keep her as a wife, so he's not going to support her on a suffix. So that's a question of human psychology. The Oros, is he going to support his wife because he doesn't want, even though he's not mechuyev yet, it's before they really but he killed her, that she shouldn't be degraded, so maybe he'll support her. Or maybe since he's not sure, he doesn't show that it's going to go through. Maybe when they have the suin, he'll see that she's a balas mum and he's not going to marry. He's going to say, "This is not what I meant." So then he's not going to give the money for nothing. Others, different gears on the whole version. Amalei Mishmal Shmieli Misfara Isla Chivin Kimlo Begavolo Shadi Zuzabli and Amalei Mishmal Shmielach Misfara Lesla Chivin the Irsa Lanichala the Tizel. The same Gemara over again, just the opposite of this second version. Says that Rav is the one who thought that Misfara he's not going to give her mazonos because he's not sure the marriage is going to go through. So therefore, she should be eligible to get it from her father's household. And Rav Chis is the one who said the opposite, that Misfara he is going to give it because he doesn't want his arusa to be degraded, so he will give it. So it's just a question of who said what. The Gemara continues. Small questions about mazonos over here. So what's my ma'anis mean? We had a ma'anis, but this doesn't seem to be that over here. Let's see what a ma'anis is. Rashi says ma'anis. Tani is she's umiyana bevala b'chaz ve'etzlan. The case of Anas, we did have that. It means that a Ketana that doesn't have a father, usually a father can marry off his daughter, and then it's Kedusha Daraisa. But if he died, then the Daraisa, she can't get married until she becomes a Gedola. But she could get married with Rabbanan, the mother, the brother, herself, they can get married, but then she has a right to just refuse and say I'm out, and she doesn't need to get. The whole thing is nullified retroactively, and she goes home. So this is the case. She went home. So now, she goes home again. She's home again. She was married, Kedushin Rabbanan, and then she refused the husband. She didn't want him, so she abolished the whole thing. And then she comes back home to her brothers. And the question is, does she go back to have the schus of being supported from the father's estate? Because these say that since everything is uprooted in the Mafreya, so as if she never got married, or do you say she got married? That the Takana was till marriage, and she got married, and marriage didn't work out, and it was part of the Mafreya, but maybe she loses the right to her zonos. That's the question that they asked from Rav Sheshes. The man is after she was married, she comes back home.
Yeah.
Rav Sheshes says he has a proof. Almana bevesa via, uvrusha bevesa via, v'shemer siyavim bevesa via, yesh lam zonos. Rashi. Almana bevesa via, klomim in the erisin. The words are that a widow in her father's house. Rashi says that
She lost her betrothed.
So what's the case that they had erisin and then she.
She
I'm not. This is not a case.
He died.
This is a case of
He died.
what kind of marriage was this?
Arusa.
Yeah, but marriage Daraisa, who married her off?
She's still in her father's house. So
She's almana. She's back in her father's house because
he died.
he died. But the husband was a husband Daraisa.
the groom died.
Yeah.
But it was a marriage Daraisa. Almana bevesavia or grusha bevesavia or shemes yom bevesavia yesh lo mazonos. Let's just read a little bit. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Oda bevesavia yesh lo mazonos, and bevesavia ein lo mazonos. So some kind of machlokis. And we don't know what the machlokis is. Tanakama says that these cases of a widow or a divorcee or shemes shavim in the father's house gets mazonos from the father's estate. Rabbi Yehuda says only while she's in the father's house, but if she's not in the father's house, not. And the one doesn't understand what's the machlokis. We're talking about bevesavia. Rabbi Yehuda Tanakama, what's the machlokis going on? Allah, and Tanakama Sava Isla, Rabbi Yehuda Sava Lessa. The Gemara is trying to read it into this price that that's the machlokis. Rashi says, Tanakama Sava Ma'enes Isla, Vachi Kama, Amana Bevesavia, Avoid in the Ma'enes. According to Tanakama that says that a widow in her father's house gets mizono, so too the case of Ma'enes also, the Ain Khan is suing. There's no marriage. The Hakatinu, since it's retroactively off, so as if there's no marriage, so that's the reason why she should get mizonos. Only if she's originally, she never left the father's house, that's when she gets mizonos. And the Gemara seems to think that this is a good ride. I think the Gemara is finished. That was the Gemara. The question, the Gemara comes out that it's a machlokes between Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda, this case of a ma'anas. Tanakam saw that she does get, and Yehuda says she doesn't get. I think so. New Gemara. Vayrish Lakish. Vasivama yesh la mazonos or ela mazonos. What's that all about? Rashi. Vasivama. Hakonis yeshivim tov b'yolda lo bas. Yesh la mazonos la'acham misa sa'avin ha'achin and nechse avi olo. Anybody get this case over here? Again? Somebody married Yivama. Okay, that's a regular case of Yivam. And then she gave birth to a daughter. And what happened? Yesh la mazonos la'acham misa sa'av min ha'achin Menichse Aviha or lo? What happened over here again? Who's the father over here? The Yavam?
Yavam is the father, yeah. Yeah, the Yavam.
Akana says Yavimto, Biodo Labas, Yesh Lozan La'acham,
Abbas.
Yesh
Zionist Lacha Misas.
Lam Zalacha Misa Sa'av, from who? Mena Achen, Mena Achen, Menichse Aviha or lo? Like any kind of Azonis that the father dies and she gets from the brother's estate. I don't get the question. If anybody understands it, please tell me. Let's see a little something more.
It's the uncles she's talking about. We're talking about the uncles, not her brothers.
Given the Amamak Subas and Lexi Bala Rishon, Lesla, or Dilma, given the E. Lesla Rishon, to King of Abanim, Misheni, Isla, Teku. Again, anybody?
Rabbi, excuse me. I think it's that the Yavam who was Miyabim Har had a family. But the Maisa, his ksuba is always based on the original of the ksuba of the first brother. That's the whole issue, I think.
Again, where's the question to get Mazonos from? He married Yavama, he married his Yavama, and he had a daughter. Now what? Who
No,
died?
he had a whole family. But his ksuba is based on the first brother's ksuba.
His ksuba to the Yavama, to his wife. I'm
Correct.
not
And all the Tanai ksuba is also all based on the first ksuba.
The Tanai ksuba to that woman is also the first brother's estate. So the reason why, thank you. So the reason why after a man dies, his daughter gets supported from his estate is because of the chiyuv ksuba that he gave to his wife. That's why the daughters get supported. Here, the ksuba to his wife is not his own money. It's only the ksuba that he owes that he gets from the money of the dead brother. And therefore what? So therefore now when he dies and he has an estate, but the ksuba that is chayiv, the Tanai ksuba is chayiv to support the daughter after his death is only from the original ksuba that he got from the brother, from the dead man. Rashi says, Amamar ksubasa enan neseyavam Tanai ksuba the law nami lav nechasa vodilma chiven amin hasam. Over there, the Gemara says that sometimes there is a takana that he does have to give ksuba from his own estate if there's not enough money from the brother. The brother doesn't have enough to cover the ksuba. There's no estate, so maybe the ksuba is also from his own nechasim also to support that daughter. Okay, and that also the Gemara leaves it as a question. That's teku. Let's try a little bit more. It's I'm not sure of the whole Gemara today, but let's try to read a little bit more. I see the Gemara goes on two more sugyas. It's here. There was a simon before, and it said about Me'ana and Yavama, Shmiya, Rusa, and Nusa, maybe Ansa. So I think these are the Gemaras that we could go to a couple of more lines on the next page. Boyi, Rabalaza. Bashniya, Yesh Lamazonas, Ein Lamazonas. What's the question of a Bashniya? Somebody married a Shniya. Shniya means Issa Drabanah. Somebody you're not allowed to marry. Right? Shniya should be so for him that Issa Drabanah, you weren't allowed to marry her. And it says over there that Shniya, Ein Laksuba, Lamazonos, that there's no din ksuba. If you married there's a difference in the Arab. For some reason, when he marries an Arab, then there is ksuba. It's a rice, but if it's a rabbanon, then ain't ksuba, and also lo mazonos. So the question is now, Vita she yelled lo b'meis yesh lo mazonos v'nechasav lo. The daughter, he married somebody he wasn't allowed to. It's a rabbanon to marry, and he died. They had a daughter, and the question is if the daughter has the right to get mazonos from the father's estate or not. What's the tzad? Also, Tanai ksuba. Given the less ksuba, less lamazoni. The same way, it goes together. The same way that there's no ksuba to the woman that he wasn't allowed to marry, so there's no mazonis to the daughter after he dies. Oduma ima the avdi surah kan surah banan. The law avdi surah kan surah banan. Maybe only the mother did that. The mother was the shniya. She wasn't allowed to get married, so they made a knas. She shouldn't get ksuba. But maybe it doesn't go on to the daughter. The daughter didn't do anything wrong. So maybe she should get mazonos. That the Gemara says again, take it, we don't know. The next question, boy Rava, Basa Rusa, Yesh Lamazonos, Ein Lamazonos. What's the question over here? Basa Rusa. Basa Rusa. There was no man. What does Basa Rusa mean? Habala, okay, he shouldn't have. Habala Rusaso. He had relations with Rusa. He shouldn't have. But before the Nisu, they shouldn't have had relations, but he did. Habala Rusaso.
Once he has a relation, is that?
But it wasn't L'Shem Nisu. He didn't do it for marriage. So Yodelo, Vames, Velo Banin, Yesh Lamazonos, Menachazavalo. His daughter that's born from the relation that he had with Arusa, does she have this chus of ksuba? Why? Given this like ksuba, Dilma, given the lotokan rabbanan. Let's see what it says here. What's the question? Given the isla ksuba, Isla. Oduma chivin dol tekilu rabbanon ksuba ad shas nisuin lesla take you. What's the question over there? That ksuba, there's no thing. There's a question if there's a ksuba for an erison or not. But here it says that
there is a ksuba.
kasavla he gave her a ksuba. If you didn't give her ksuba, there's no question. No, there's no takana. Here it says there's no takana to write the ksuba until shas nisuin. Tonight ksuba nami is not chal. But since he did give her a ksuba, so does that include the takana of his own also or not? And the next question was anusa. This should be the last question probably. What's the question? Anusa. So there's no ksuba. What happened over there? Bas anusa. Anybody remember anything about a somebody was raped somebody. He raped a girl. The law is he's supposed to marry her, and he can never divorce her. So that's what happened. He raped her, and he married her like the way he's supposed to, and then he had a daughter, and then he died. So he died.
Yeah.
And the question is if the daughter gets mazonos from his estate or not. So what's the question?
Married?
He married her. He's supposed to marry her. We have this question. Is there ksuba? There's no reason to give a ksuba because you can't divorce her anyway. The whole reason why you give a ksuba is that it should be
But that's
good.
not good. See, so then she loses it to shtei mana. She loses a double mana. The 200 is.
That's what. Okay.
That's not good.
Let's see what it says.
She got 50 as a fine, but that's not.
That's not focus. So she gets, but the whole reason why there's ksuba, why she's saying she's losing it. The whole reason why they invented it is only that it shouldn't be hard. It should be hard for him to divorce her, but he can't divorce her anyway. He can't divorce her anyway.
He might be saving 200 mana.
I'll leave it there. Rabbi Yehuda Loti Boy Lachdam Yesh Ksuba Mana. If she asks ksuba, so there's no question. If says she gets ksuba, I think over there the Gemara said, what's the tzad? Yeah, we had that tzad that either she doesn't get ksuba because she doesn't need it because she can't divorce her anyway. The other tzad was that he can make life miserable for her until she wants the divorce. That's the reason why we do make it difficult for him. He has to pay because if not, he'll make her so miserable till she tells Bezin I want a divorce. So according to Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda says that she gets ksuba. So then what? I'm sorry. Excuse me. Then it's not a question that she gets ksuba, so the daughter gets mazonos. That whatever money he paid for the knas, that counts for the ksuba, means he doesn't have to give ksuba. Maybe the daughter doesn't get mazonos. Since the mother doesn't get ksuba, so the daughter doesn't get mazonos, that's only tonight ksuba. Or Dilma, time of my kadesh lo take kalabein of latzia. The whole reason why we said this, what's the Gemara coming to say? A reason that she should get? I don't get it. The most of the reason that she should not, if she doesn't get ksuba, so there's no mazoni. And now we're going to say it's sad that she does get mazonos. What's the sad? Time of my kadesh lo take kalabein of latzia. I don't get it. I don't get the words. Rashi. Ksuba time of the lo talking about mishum the lachol ksuba sisham mishum shelo take kalabein of latzia teknua. Follow matzi mapik. Here we can't divorce her. Kidachsiv yechol shalcha. Ksuba the mishum apuke Yehuda lo takon the lekala mechashla. Aval shat tonight ksuba lav mishum shelo take kalaha. Rashi says that this far that we say the reason why she doesn't get ksuba is because the whole reason of ksuba is that it shouldn't be easy for him to divorce her. That's only the reason for the one sign. That's not the reason for the rest of the Tanai Ksuba. The reason for the Tanai Ksuba is not because it should be hard for him to divorce, like this kind of thing of mazonos. The fact that the daughter gets mazonos after he dies is not because it should be hard for him to divorce his wife. Nothing to do with each other. So that's the most saying. B is saying it's a package deal. Tanai Ksuba goes with the Ksuba. No Ksuba, no Tanai Ksuba. So the daughter doesn't get supported. Or you look at this far for each one. The reason why she doesn't get Ksuba is because there's no reason to give her Ksuba because he can't divorce her anyway. That's only as far as the Mana Masam. You don't need to invent a deterrent to divorce because you can't divorce anyway. But the daughter's getting mazonas has nothing to do with that deterrent, nothing to do with it. So maybe the daughter does get mazonas. So this is called a rough copy. So we did a rough copy today. I hope tomorrow to come back a little bit more knowledgeable with what we did, and hope it'll be explained better tomorrow.
So tomorrow you're going to go over.
I'll try to do it. I'll see how much better it'll come tomorrow. I'll do it my chavrusa and see. Today I was really didn't like it today. So we'll see tomorrow how good it should be. Okay, Yashikar. Thank you, everybody.
It sounded good. Could have fooled us. You didn't have to say you didn't prepare.
Okay, so then I fooled.
I didn't know the difference.
Okay.
At least we march on, that's all.
Okay, we'll see. If I get it better tomorrow, I might go back to the Russian cooking. Here it asks me if I should record it. Yes or cancel. What do you say?
Record it.
Record it?
It's good.
Okay.